majority.
I understand that not everyone's going to be a high earner.
No.
Not everyone's going to be this top 10% man that can provide for everyone, right?
Yep.
So average women are going to get with average men, average earning men. So therefore, you're going to have to work as well too.
Yep.
But like we said, when you do that, you got to make sure that you keep yourself relatively in shape, right?
Maintain.
The key. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of His and Hers. My name is Twan. This is my beautiful wife.
Sim, nice to meet everyone again, and thank you for tuning in again. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. And today, guys, I'm excited because we had a topic that I think needs to be discussed.
Yep.
I'm going to be dropping some truth bombs today for sure.
Yeah.
But before we get into you guys, please smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel, right? Let's keep our push to 1,000 subscribers going, guys. I would love to see it by this summer.
I know
but hopefully in the next month or so, right? So, please subscribe. Please share. All right, share the truth, guys. Share debunking the lies, right? Get this content out there because the truth can be so helpful to get you guys the outcomes that you want, right?
Yep.
And then, obviously debunking all these lies that we've been exposed to in the last few decades, I think will, turn people's lives around for a positive way. And that is our intention, guys, is to turn your life around in a positive manner, right? And get the results that you want, which is relationships, strong, healthy relationships, right? Marriage, and then leading to kids, and then of course benefit, obviously long-term benefits, best outcome for your kids.
Best outcome, your life will be more positive because you'll, have the more positive vibe around you. It makes people, want to be around you more because, you always think like, hey, I'm in the gutter right now. Who doesn't have something that's negative, up and down that doesn't go your way? But you know what? You can turn that negative into positive. If you value yourself, you take care of your health, you have a better outcome. If you did something wrong, you're willing to change it, just to make things work out. That's all you need.
And I want to say something before I lose this training of thought, because you hit something that's so important, guys, that if you're on the truth, if you're following the truth and you're on the purpose of the truth and you're doing everything right for the purpose of the truth, you'll notice that everyone who does that has a way more positive vibe.
Yeah.
All you kids nowadays, you guys are always saying vibe, energy, all these kind of kind of like terms that are kind of like, they don't really have a very concrete meaning, right? But what it is that you can see someone's positivity come through. Yep. Right. And so when you're in the truth and you're working on your values and your values are getting better and you have positive relationships because each person's bringing their values to the table, and then you know where your value stands and you realize that the other person's bringing what they need to bring. And then, of course, the outcomes are there. Right. Yeah. You cannot lie to yourself about these things. That's why we call it the truth, because as much as you want to cap and lie to yourself that I'm this or I'm that and my value is this or I'm this, it doesn't come into the reality.
The thing is, you take accountability. If there's certain things that you did wrong, you take accountability. If there's things that say like, hey, your weight, you gain weight and all that stuff, you know what? Take accountability. Say, hey, if you want to turn that to do a weight.
Let's talk about that in the context of the show, honey. Okay.
So let's not go
let's get all our prerequisites done, guys. Go check out our channel over at TikTok at His&Hers YT, right? And then, guys, please comment. We love all the comments,
right,
positive or negative, right?
Yep.
And then turn on the notification bell so you're notified of a new video when we post it, right, guys? And 2022 is going to be a big year. I've already said that. We got a lot of stuff going on our end, guys. 2022, we got to keep pushing. They're going to be, obviously, getting rid of all the mandates and all the restrictions. So you got to go out and hustle and do your thing this year and change the life around, okay?
Yes, for the positive.
Today's topic is going to be one that hits home to a lot of couples.
Oh, yes.
Marriage or just relationships, right? We're going to focus on marriage today, guys, because I think my wife and I can put a lot of context, a lot of advice for you guys in terms of what we do to prevent this, right? Because you have to. There's the stats out there, guys. Go check it out. Maybe we'll post another video where we kind of break down all these stats, but there's stats out there, honey, that says that about 15% of marriages, couples in marriage, is sexless.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so that means that you're not having sex more than less than 10 times a year. So think about that, guys, right? 365 days in a year, right? 10 to or less than 10 times a year having sex.
Yeah.
That's pretty much no intimacy at all throughout the whole year, right? And then there's another stat where it's just couples, not marriage, but just in relationships or whatever.
Relationship-wise, yeah.
More than 25% of couples that are just in relationships have sexless marriage,
Yep.
meaning that, I'm assuming the same, right? Which
Yeah,
is
they're
10
dating,
or
yeah.
less time a year, right? That's ridiculous, guys.
Yep.
And, we talk about it here all the time that, like, of course, sex isn't the only thing,
No.
right? It's not just the only thing that you're supposed to, obviously, your purpose.
Yeah.
But remember, without this sexual attraction, you can't have kids. And then obviously without a sexual attraction for each other, significant each other, because it leads to everything else. And we'll break it down here in a second, okay, guys? So we're breaking it down here in terms of how it relates to our values here. But, just from the beginning, obviously, if you guys are no longer having sex, that means that there is an issue with your guys' values.
Yep.
Okay, and we can
Let's
talk
break
about
them down.
it. Yeah. So first things first, right, is fitness, right?
Yep.
And this, of course, is more, I would say, and you can chime in, honey, but I would say this is more on the female side fault, right? Does that make sense? So typically, when married couples become, right, it's usually the woman that kind of lets herself go.
Yep.
Right?
And I can vouch for that one because, like I said in our other videos, I mean, they didn't move. Their house is still the same. The husband still had the same job, right? Yes, they got married, later shebang, maybe a few years later down the road, she got comfortable. She's like, whatever, I locked him down. Well, technically, woman, you didn't really lock your men down. You got the idea of lockdown because you're married to him. But you know what?
Honey, do you have any, because, guys, women talk with their women friends, right? Guys talk with their guy friends. Do you have, like, without obviously pointing out anybody particularly, what are you hearing on the female side that why do they let themselves go? Why do women let themselves go?
Well, they let themselves go in terms that they said that, we just had kids, I got tired and I couldn't do this. Or sometimes they feel like stressed out, overworked. They're married and they go to work and stuff.
So in these relationships that you've had conversations with, so the woman still works.
Yeah, the woman still works. Or if not, there's one, that's a housewife, but she doesn't seem to care about, taking care of herself. And, I'm like, well, why don't you make the time? So what is your schedule like? I mean, we women, we talk about things, and then they're always like, well, because I'm like, well, I work. I used to work and everything else, but, I still balance because I'm like, they're like, well, how'd you keep yourself in shape? I'm like, well, because I don't want to go buy a new wardrobe. So that is my reason for not trying to gain weight and whatever else. Plus, I want to stay attractive for my man and myself.
So real quick, guys,
thing.
check out one of our really first videos where we said why women shouldn't work. And it's coming back to that. The reason why we always advise that why women shouldn't be the majority breadwinner.
Yeah.
Let me clarify this, right?
Majority.
I understand that not everyone's going to be a high earner.
No.
Not everyone's going to be this top 10% man that can provide for everyone, right?
Yep.
So average women are going to get with average men, average earning men. So therefore, you're going to have to work as well too.
Yep.
But like we said, when you do that, you got to make sure that you keep yourself relatively in shape, right?
Maintain.
The key and the thing too, like without getting into too much, right?
Yeah.
An average man would have accepted a less fitness woman to begin with, right?
Yep.
A high earning man is going to obviously have a higher standard of fitness for his woman, right? So the point is, if you're already at a standard that is average, or let's say a little bit below average, and that's what the man is going to be happy with it. That's all you got to maintain, ladies. We're not asking you to go all of a sudden, like after marriage, go and become fitness stars,
no,
right?
But even that they don't even maintain.
That's the point.
That's the point.
That's the key.
Women, that is the point because every single time I talk to most of the women out there, it's either we had a baby and I sort of got busy and I'm doing this and I'm helping this or that. But you guys got to remember, your sexual attraction also matters to your spouse, the one that's working so hard, slaving away for you guys, for you and your kids. Okay? So, and I don't like the part where women, the only time you guys dress up or want to look nice is you're thinking, okay, it's only date night. It doesn't have to always be date night. Why don't you just look good for yourself and for your spouse? Yeah. Okay, your kids don't want to be out all the time with parents that look like schlop. I've seen parents wear slippers.
Well, think about
things like this and stuff outside.
Yeah,
like
think about it this way, ladies.
know?
Right? Like when you first was able to be attracted to your man, and when you first came together, and then you guys were having a girlfriend and boyfriend relationship, right?
Yeah.
You guys still maintain this standard of being able to be attracted to each other. Why let that standard drop once you're married? Right? That doesn't make sense to me.
No.
Right? It only makes sense that the reason why you guys came together, because it always goes back to the values. You had this value that made you guys attracted to each other. And you guys, don't get me wrong. I'm going to flip it to the man side here pretty soon, right? But we're talking about just the women's fitness right now. You had this standard to maintain. Yep. What makes you think that you're going to be able to drop this standard, and then now the man who came into this situation, this relationship, is going to be happy with that standard dropping?
Well, think about it. Because think about it. If my husband's on the other end, like if I were flipping it, right? When I got with him, he had a sense of direction of where he wanted to go. He maintained his weight. He was smart, intelligent, whatever else.
My finance was at a certain level.
Yep, at a certain level. But then later, think about it. If he dropped his finance level and he didn't take care of himself, he's like 300 pounds. Do you think I'm going to be attracted to him? No. First, I will try to work it out. Be like, hey, honey, you need to get your butt to the gym. Let's get your finance in. We'll work together. Because I'm all about.
Yeah, let's talk about not how we're going to work it out today. But
what I'm just trying to say is, if you guys really want to work things out, you can. But someone has to give in. It's not a give and take only, okay? It's you have to balance it out. You have to be willing to work with each other if you want to save that marriage.
I don't want to make the video too long, guys. That's why I don't want to go through what we can do to help and do. But we have to communicate. That's key, obviously.
Be honest with each other.
And so when you flip it on the man side, it's definitely the same thing. Like my wife just said, is the finance, right? So if I was earning a certain number, right? Let's say I'm an average earner and that was $50,000 a year. If I drop from that all of a sudden, how can I expect my wife to be like, hey, I got with you because you were making $50,000 a year. Now you're making less, or you're not working at all. You lost your job, right? How could you expect the woman in the same thing to accept a lesser standard than she came into, right? So, but in terms of fitness, when we're talking about sexless marriage, that really does affect the woman, right? Because now she's going to say, well, why am I trading my fidelity, right? That's why it always goes back to the values, guys. Why am I trading my fidelity for this lesser finance value, lesser fame, ambition, right, is what you kids call it nowadays, right? Motivation, ambition, right? So yeah, fitness is obviously, 100%, well, not 100%, but it more leans towards the woman's side of making sure that you maintain that fitness, right? Now, when it comes, let's talk a little bit about the men's fitness, though, right? When the men's fitness fails or goes down a little bit, what happens there is obviously it has to do with more of like your mentality, right? If you let yourself go and now you're out of shape, you're not energetic anymore as when you were a younger man, right? And so your sexual drive, right? We're going to have an adult conversation, guys, today, right? So we're not going to sugarcoat anything, right? So when your sexual drive decreases because now you're out of shape or you're more mentally stressed at work.
And you're not motivated for anything else or purpose. You don't have a purpose that you want to live to life. Like you don't have a certain goal to achieve. Then?
Well, let's just talk about just the basic relationship sex aspect, okay, guys? What I'm talking about is like you have all these extra things that you have to think about and stress about now. And I get it when stress is introduced, just like the woman's side, right? When they're stressed out, so now they're not going to want to try to keep themselves in shape. They're not going to want to. Well, same thing with you guys, though, right? You got to make sure that once all this additional stress comes in, you don't lose that sexual attraction for your wife. Guys, I don't know how many times, like I said, we're going to have a real conversation today. I hope this video goes out to all the married couples, all the relationship couples, because we're going to expose ourselves a little bit here today, but I want to have a real conversation because it needs to be said. When I was working those many hours, doesn't matter. I'd come home late at night, I'd do my thing, take a shower, right? Spend a little bit of time with the kids, right? Because the kids would go to sleep, we're not going to tell you guys our schedule, but the point is you go home, you spend some time with the family dinner, you spend some time with the kids. You don't just ignore the kids as a father, right? And then late at night, it doesn't matter, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm ready to go, right? And this is the thing, guys. Like, we talk about it all the time that women, you know, they're the prize, right? In a certain way, right? They have to be the prize, right? Well, it's also the man that needs to still want to have a prize, right? So you still have to have the urge to be going through the trial, the event, to have the prize, right? Yep. So if you don't have this motivation, if you lose this motivation because of stress or work or whatever the excuse is, your wife is not going to want you either.
Well, it's both ways too. Like, if you women don't upkeep yourself and you don't make yourself smell good, you don't maintain the house and whatever else or value, you know, the values that we discuss.
My problem is
it's going to be hard too for the
my problem is, yes, we both have, like, I don't want to say one person's to blame more than the other. The woman definitely has to do her part and try to maintain her physical attraction to the man.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this right now, guys, like, the woman, it's majority of the time, okay, guys, don't cap out there. The majority of the time, the woman wants you to lust for them, not the other way around, right? As much as guys go out there and say, hey, I want, you know, a woman to be experienced and be more sexually active with me and not be the one that has to be, you know, like, I have to be the one that always instigates the intimacy, right? The truth is, the majority of the time, the man has to instigate the intimacy, right? And so if you guys lose that sex drive, or let's say she just rejects you the first time, hey, honey, I'm so tired tonight, or I have a headache, and you just say, okay, screw it, I'm not going to freaking, you know, instigate it more. I'm just going to freaking just, you know, let it go. No. I hate to say it, but as the husband, as the man, it's your responsibility to keep wanting it, keep pushing, keep having these conversations with your significant other, your wife, and be like, no, honey, I have this sex urge, and I still find you attractive, and I'll find you still attractive if you maintain this physical shape for me and maintain this thing for me, and then I still want to be with you. Right?
That's the thing, you know, as a married couple, you want to just have that sexual urge and drive between you guys, your spouse. And you don't want, you know how, like, why would you, women, want to turn away your husband's sexual drive and then have him urge and want somebody else? You don't want that. You know, and that's where it's going to lead to if you keep ignoring your husband's sexual drive or don't maintain your values and whatever else and upkeep yourself with everything. Yeah. I understand sometimes, like we said, there is nothing wrong with a married couple who is in the middle class, like, you know, in the middle.
Average. I mean, it's just average, right? You know, but you guys got with each other when you're average. You guys got with each other, not like being in shape. Like, there's a lot of people out there that makes average salary and don't have a six-pack and under 5'10", but they still got with each other. You guys were still attracted to each other at one point to get to each other, have a relationship, have marriage, and then potentially have kids, right? So why drop that standard? If your standard was good enough for each other at that time, why drop the standard to below what was, you know, obviously enough for you guys to be attractive? And like I said, I put this blame more on the men in terms of this mentality, right? Yes, the woman is at fault for not keeping herself physically attractive. But in terms of that push, that lust for you guys, right? Guys, we talk about all the time in the RP community who has more of the sexual drive, right? Men has more of that sexual drive until we die, right? And if you're a real man, right, like, I don't want to call you guys out like that. Oh, if you're a real man, you need to do this. But let's be honest, if you're a guy, you want to have sex all the time, right? So that's my point is, like, I blame the men 100% on that aspect, that if you just kind of give up, you don't want to have sex with your wife anymore, and it doesn't matter the time, it doesn't matter how tired you are, it doesn't matter all those things, right? If you lose that,
have to.
You're not going to make the situation. Your wife is not going to all of a sudden turn around and become this sexy freaking woman, right? All of a sudden she's just going to start becoming this sexy woman and then start coming to you for sex. No, it's you. You're the leader, right? You talk about all the time that men has to be the leader. Right? And I agree. Men has to be the leader. Well, this is where we have to lead. Yep. We have to be the one that
just have to make time.
This.
Just say that we have to make time for each other.
Yeah.
You know, I understand it. Even if the woman is a housewife or a working person
working,
or whatever else, you guys just have to make time and make it work.
I don't care if you schedule it. I don't know how many times, like, guys, we're going to have real talks today. I keep talking to you guys. I don't know how many times I've texted my wife, say, hey, where are you at? Let's do this. I don't know how many times I've, just talked to her in the middle of the night. Hey, we're going to do this later. Hey, it might not sound like, oh, my God,
It's not the most romantic.
It might not be the most romantic thing.
But it's a hint.
But the point is, it doesn't matter. Like, are your lives change, right? Right? From the time you were young and you had all this time in the world and you didn't have kids to worry about, you didn't have your life and your expenses, your house, real adult things to worry about. You can have all the time in the world to come up with these romantic situations, right? But let's be honest, guys. When you don't have that time, it's gonna have to be more organized. It's going to have to be structured. But who does that? It's the man that has to do that. Okay?
Yep.
So that's the fitness, right? So the fitness is definitely, it's kind of, it's kind of a little interesting that the fitness, when it comes to the sex aspect of marriage, right, is kind of the physical side, more for the woman, and then it's kind of the mental side. Because this is the other thing too, guys. The reason why it's not so much mentally on the woman's side, you're already married to her. She's already your wife. She's already said, hey, I've committed to you sexually for this relationship. You're not trying to gain that fidelity anymore. You're not trying to break that barrier of her giving you fidelity. Yeah. She's like, dude, I already find you as sexually attractive as my husband. I've already given you kids.
That's why she said I do.
I'm willing to put out for you. But it's you. It's who are you that I'm going to put it out for, right? So for me, it's the man that has to be the one that's pushing this fitness, which includes the mental side, right? All right, so finance is next, right?
Oh yeah.
So finance, guys, obviously, like I said, this is where it's a little difficult when you're not the top tier man. Yep. Right? If you're the top tier man and you're doing your thing, the woman's position is such more in her natural. Right? She can be feminine. She can stay at home, take care of the kids. She can take care of herself because she has the time to. You only have so much time in the day we talk about, right? And so if your wife has to work too and deal with the stresses of bringing in the finance for the table, then she's going to, unfortunately have not the time to do all these other things, right? So my suggestion.
But we're not saying that it doesn't work. I mean, we know people who are cold parties, but like I said, you just have to make the time. Yeah. Just like with anything else, you got to try to make the time to. I mean, come on, no one works 24 hours in a day. Come on.
But my suggestion still, though, is that this is still on the man. Let's say you're an average earner. We talked about you're making $50,000 a year. Now you have kids with your wife. Yeah. Now she still has to work. Let's say she's bringing in $30,000. You guys are both average, right? The female makes 30. You make 50. All right. So now you're both bringing this in. Well, you're gonna have to continue wanting her, even if she's stressed out. Yep. And then you're going to have this conversation with her like, hey, yes, I get it. You're stressed out at work. You got to do this. My point is you guys going to have to assume each other's roles a little bit more. Look, think about it. If you're only making $50,000 a year, let's not cap, guys, all right? You're not like me. You're not working 15, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, running multiple businesses, right? You're not. You're working a 9 to 5, 40, 50 hours a week at the most. Maybe you have a decent career that you have a little bit more stress, right? But let's be honest, you're not working to the extent that a top tier man is working, right? So if you're only working 40, 50 hours a week, there's no excuse not to hit the gym. There's no excuse not to tell your wife to go hit the gym because she's only making $30,000 a week. She should only be working 40, 50 hours a week, right? You guys have all the time in the world to go work out together, go walk together, go exercise together, whatever it is, to maintain that average sexual attraction to each other.
Don't tell me, gym might cost money, because I already told you, I already broke it down to the other place. You can work outside, you can do sit-ups, push-ups at your home. If you have stairways, boom, boom, go up and down the stairs. I mean, there's so many different ways to work out. So don't give me excuses.
And you were average to begin with, so it's not like all of a sudden, your wife who was average, I hate to say the average stats nowadays of females because it's gone up so much, right? But if you're 5'4", 170 pounds, it's not like all of a sudden tomorrow you're going to be 5'4", an Instagram model weighing 120 pounds, right? So your man got with you being average, 5'4", 170 pounds. So just stay 5'4", 170 pounds.
Just maintain the looks and smell good, and hygiene is important. Everything
else. That's my point. It's not hard to maintain average. Hence, you guys are average. This is not a knock on average people. No. It's just we're spitting truths here. If you're average, that means you're not pushing that hard to become above average. So if you're average, why would it be so hard to maintain average?
And trust me, you can get a lot of free gym stuff, okay? I mean, you can go look at Craigslist. You can get, like, free gym stuff from OfferUp, whatever else. I mean, if you're going to want something, you know, to work out with or a treadmill, there's a lot of freebies out there, okay? So don't make excuses. Excuses is only a way for you not to take, you know, your accountability of wanting to do something, okay? So that's just like pulling yourself back. So what we're trying to tell you is if you want to do something, you can achieve it if you just want to do it. But if you don't want to do it, trust me, we can talk all we want on here on this podcast right now, and still nothing's going to change. Your husband or your wife can talk all they want, but if you don't push yourself to wanting to do it, it isn't going to change. So just like a marriage, you have to be honest with each other and say, hey, honey, I want affection now, da-da-da. Hey, honey, you're gaining a little weight. Or, hey, honey, this house needs to be clean. Or, you know, whatever else. Hygiene-wise, weight-wise, anything. You have to be honest with each other. And this is what we're trying to tell you. Like, my husband and I, we're pretty honest with each other. You know? If, like, say, you know, he needs to cut, like, from, you know, drinking coffee, his, you know, things or breath, whatever, I would say it. And we're open about it. You know, we don't beat around the bush with each other. And that's the kind of relationship you need. Why aren't you guys honest? You need to be honest. And that's the thing whenever I talk about couples, they're not really truly honest with you. You know, they complain. The husband will be complaining in my ears. A woman will be complaining in my ears. I'm like, dude, don't complain in my ears. Tell each other.
Talk to each other.
Talk to each other.
Yeah.
And that's what I told him. You need to talk to each other. Don't complain. He's like, well, I want my wife to be more sexy, and I want my wife to be this or that. I'm like, tell her.
Yeah, but once again, it's where were you guys as when you first started out? If you guys were a certain level, right, and you maintained that normal level that you guys were at, as the man, it's 100% your fault if you lose sexual attraction to your wife. I'm gonna call out both men and women on this video, because if you got with her and she was just average, 5'4", 160, 170 pounds, and now all of a sudden, you start making a little bit more money, right? Because now your career is starting to take off, and then now you start obviously wanting more, right? How do you expect more when you got with your wife with who she is? So it goes both ways, right? Just like a woman, like like my wife said earlier, to flip it, if you got with a man and he was only earning average salary, $50,000 a year, and yes, he can improve. Yes, he can work on himself to get more finance for you and the family. But if he doesn't, then how can you expect him to all of a sudden make, 6 figures before
overnight.
You can be sexually attracted to him?
No.
When you are attracted to him to begin with at just average.
He still put a roof over your head. He still put dinner on the table, lunch, whatever else. He still pay for your kids' sport if you had kids, right? So why now trying to stretch his budget to be a $1 million budget to compare to what his average income is? You can't do that to a person.
Yeah.
Now
let's come full circle though, honey. Right? So like I said, you got to know your values, right? So the key is you got to know your values going into the relationship. You got to know what your partner's values are going into a relationship. And I'm going to repeat this again on this video, because this is the problem with the modern dating market. You guys have been lied to. You guys have been fooled. Whatever. You guys have accepted the lies that your values don't matter or your values are the same.
No.
Right? And so this is what our channel is trying to expose to you guys, right? Women bring a set of values. Men bring a set of values. And then, of course, each one has different levels of those values.
Roles.
And then the mathematical equation, right, depending on what your values add up to, is kind of where you're supposed to meet up, right? So that's first and foremost, right? Now, let's talk about it. Once you get into a marriage, once you get into a relationship, can you improve? Right? Let's not talk about digressing, right? We got to progress, right? Because let's be honest, we all know if one of us digresses, one of us becomes worse, the relationship ain't gonna work out.
No.
Right? If my wife got fat, right? If she started becoming less feminine, if she started not giving me sex, right? If she started becoming less nurturing, caring, whatever, we know that the relationship success rate is gonna drop dramatically. No different on my side. If my finance drop, if my ambition drop, if my motivation to want fame and status drops, right? And then of course if my fitness drops so much that it offsets those things as well too, it's not going to be successful.
Nope.
So let's talk about if we both progress,
Yep.
right? So let's say you get into a relationship now, and let's say the wife all of a sudden wants to exercise, and she drops, goes from 177 average weight. Now she drops down to 140. Now she's looking sexier to everyone else, including you, hopefully, right? As a man, you got to understand, and this is where communication, once again, is so important. You got to understand that you're going to have to increase your value
Yep.
to make up or equate up to her value. And this is why relationships are relationships. You got to work with one another, right? No different than his end, right? How many women, how many marriages, and this is the reason why we have sexless marriage. This is the reason why we're even having this nowadays. How many people where the men starts making a little bit more money, right? Because a lot of men, we talk about, you don't become successful until you hit about 45 years old, right? 40, 45 is when you start kind of having your shit together and your career starts taking off. It takes time, right? And so now you start making money. Women, if your man starts doing that, and great, you got with him because he had this ambition, he got this motivation, well, your ass better be motivated to get to the gym, diet,
Up your
do
game
your
a little
nails,
bit.
do your hair, be sexy, wear lingerie, whatever it is to increase your value of what he's bringing value. Because age all aside, I get it, right? A lot of us guys will say, well, with age, obviously the woman's value decreases. And that's true to an extent, right? But you guys are married. Your husband is not going to think of it from that standpoint.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm with this one, my wife. I love her. I'm going to take care of her. She just has to do her part for me to maintain sexually attracted to her. And so this is where a woman who can be older, keeps herself in shape, and obviously takes care of herself, can actually retain her husband. The problem with most ladies is that you guys don't realize this until you've already divorced your husband or you've already messed up. And now you're single because either your husband, well, let's be honest, we know the stat. Most women leave the relationship,
first.
right? But my point is, once you've left your husband because you said, well, hey, he's not making enough money or he cheated on me or whatever the reason, what you guys don't realize is that even though you're in shape now, you could be 35, 40 years old as a woman and you're sexy in shape, an Instagram model worthy body, you're too old. This is where age comes into a play. Right? But if you were with your man, if you were with your husband who's now earning six figures, right? You guys both went from average to now above average or top 10%. He would be like, cool, my wife is 40 years old, sexy as hell, in shape. She's freaking got, Instagram model worthy body. And she doing everything for me that I need her to do. He would stick by your side. Does that make sense? I think the problem with people is that they don't realize this until they've already given up on their relationship.
Well, because most of the time they think that most women think, oh my God, I'm already in my mid 30s. I already have my kids. I don't got to worry about it, or 40s or 50s.
Well,
it's not like you can't hit the gym still and work out and still look good for yourself.
This is a woman's problem too. This is me calling out the women too. It's like, you guys didn't realize it until the man left you. Like we just said earlier, if you don't maintain this standard and this value to match his value, right? And so why is it after you left the man, after you divorced him or freaking, dumped him, now you're like, oh, I'm going to get myself in shape and be sexy so all these other men.
Yeah,
what
so
happened
that would put
doing
yourself
that?
On the market.
What happened doing that to your husband?
Well, that's what I just said. Why aren't you looking good for each other? It's like it doesn't make sense. And then women, you leave, and then you can't find the man who actually cared for you in the first place, like your husband really did. He has told you many times to keep yourself up. Why don't you look good for me? You look sexy, but you didn't do any of that for him because you thought, oh, by marrying him already, you got him nailed down. No, you women don't.
Now I can just let myself go.
Yeah, let yourself go. But you don't, women. I'm trying to tell you that right now from a woman to woman standard. You don't have anybody nailed down, okay? I don't care if later on you left your husband and you go for another man. You still won't have that man nailed down because you know why? He's going to find you lust, okay? You guys will have a shebang for a little bit, and then all of a sudden he's going to leave because you know why? You probably got comfortable and then let yourself go with him too. It's going to still come revolving in circles. Why you want to do that? So instead of trying to mess yourself up right now, if you had a good relationship, I don't care if he's like, middle, whatever, to par with you, then work those. Be honest with yourself. Take care of that. Value that relationship. Work things out.
Yeah.
Okay?
My wife,
That's it.
I'll tell you guys right now, obviously when my wife was younger, she was beautiful because she was young and her body was tight, right? Like I said, we're having real adult conversations. And when you're young as a female, your body's obviously tighter, your body's more naturally beautiful just because of genetics, right? But trust me, she maintains her body way more now and does other things, right? Because you can do makeup, you can do your hair, you can do all your exercises that makes your face, your body better, right? You can slow that process down, and also you can enhance your process better, right? Whereas when you were young, you're like, whatever, I'm just young, my body's beautiful already, right? So I
didn't really put much makeup or anything.
But that's my point. So my point is, as an older lady, and as an obviously as a woman, as you learn these things, you got to continue increasing your value. And if you do that, like I said, the man's got no problem with you. You're older. He's you're his wife. He loves you. He's not going to try to leave you. Men don't leave the relationship. We just said that, right? We're going to provide for you. We're going to keep doing our thing, provide for the kids, worry about our legacy, worry about our freaking, bloodline. As long as you do what you need to do to maintain your...
It works both ways.
So my point is that as I increased my value as a man, right, and specifically my finance and my status value, my wife has matched that value with me, right? So she's doing her part to make me still physically attracted to her, right? So now I need to do my part, which is lust for her still. So even to this day, I have to go and I have to be the one, right, that says, hey, honey, I want to have sex today, or I want to have sex right now, right, guys? You cannot expect your lady, your woman, to be the one that starts it. Can she do it every once in a while? Sure. She can every once in a while, like, hey, honey, I'm feeling it. Let's do it, right? And those are great. Those are the days where you don't have to come up with the urge, right?
Yeah.
But the majority of the time, guys, let's be honest, it's the men who has that sex drive. Right.
And once you don't have that sex drive anymore, you don't care about each other, you're not honest with each other, you don't want to tell each other, and you just sleep in separate bedrooms, that's a done deal.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are not
How are you going to come back from
that? You can't come back from each other, and I don't care what people say, like, you might as well just not be together, because that's just totally, I mean, your kids will see it. Your friends will see it. You guys look negative. You don't, you're sitting far apart from one another. I've seen it a lot in my days.
Yeah.
So
and don't get me wrong, guys.
sad.
There's outliers, right? There's people that can have polygamy, right? And I'm not promoting polygamy, not at all, Obviously, you can do it if you're a high-value man. Check out our video, of a high-value man exercising their options.
Yeah.
I get it. A high-value man can do it. But let's be honest. The majority of us can't do it financially or time-wise or anything else. So my point is, like, you got to work it with your significant other for the best outcome for your kids, right?
Yep.
And so you can't be going around thinking, well, hey, I can go just smash other women if my wife, doesn't want to do it, right? And then not face the consequences.
There might be consequences.
Oh, there will be consequences.
You might get transferred, STDs, all that freaking stuff. So I'm going to be honest with you, because you're going to get sexually transmitted disease.
But my point is,
happen for women or men.
But even if we don't get the STDs.
Well, I'm just saying, for a man, you might impregnate the other woman, and boom, here you go. Your finance will get lower, and you're going to end up paying more bills.
Even if you don't, the majority of us do not have the finance or the clout or the status to pull that off without giving up a significant portion of our values, right? Unless you're freaking Drake and say, hey, I'm freaking Drake, and freaking someone's going to sleep with you just because you're Drake, right? Or unless you're a freaking multi-millionaire, billionaire, and you said just give a woman a few $1,000s, and that doesn't hurt your impact. You think a guy making only $4,000, $5,000 a month on average can somehow go and spend $2,000 on another person and not hurt his financial, family financial situation?
I've heard people in relationships where they're working office together and he's cheating on his wife. And they're not spending that much money. They're just it's.
No, but I get it. My point is the average man needs to spend a significant amount of his money to get attraction from another woman, and you're not a billionaire. You're not a millionaire. So let's say you're a billionaire and you go drop $100,000 towards your mistress. That doesn't hurt your financial status. As a man or as your family. Your wife probably won't even notice that you lost $100,000 if you're a billionaire. Yeah. That's my point. But when you're only making $4,000, $5,000 a month as an average earner, you think you're going to be able to attract another woman by just spending a few dollars, take her to McDonald's?
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, there's outliers, of course. There's freaking 304s out there that'll sleep you for nothing, right? But the truth of the matter, the reason why women get upset all the time, we talk about on this channel, is because they inherently know that you had to give up your resources, your values, and you're going to be giving it to this other woman. You're going to commit yourself, right? Fall in love, whatever terms you want to use, you're committing to this other woman your values to get her sexual access.
Oh, and we get more upset when you're getting with an uglier person than your wife.
Yeah, well, that's a different video, right? Shout out to Arnold Schwarzenegger out there.
I'm still like bobbled, like, what the heck, dude? Your wife isn't that, like, she's not supermodel hot, but she, compared to the person that you impregnate,
but that's why it didn't work out for him. But that's why it worked out for freaking, what's his name?
I'm just saying.
Brad Pitt, right? That's why it worked out for Brad Pitt, because he went up in value. But anyways, that's a whole nother video, guys. But guys, that's the thing. It comes back down to your values, right? And you got to know what your values are. You got to be happy with your values. You got to be happy with your other, significant others' values, right? And then you got to match each other's those values. That's the key. As one goes up, the other one must go up.
Yep.
As you guys both go down, it can work out, but let's be honest. When you both go down, we just talked about at the beginning of this show, the beginning of this video, right? You cannot lie to yourself. When your values go down, that means your pursuit of the truth is going down. The best outcome for your kids are going down. So that means you're negatively going to be impacted.
Your vibe.
Yes.
Let's use that vibe. V-I-B-E.
You're
negative or positive.
You're going to be less happy. You're going to be sad. And you cannot bring a positive outcome from that.
Like with me, okay? Like, I like to work out. I like to stay in shape. I like to dress up, certain things. And I expect the same thing with my kids and my husband, right? If I'm upping my game, I want my husband to be upping his game, and my kids the same way. Like, I want them to have that positive vibe around me, because I'm a positive person, a positive thinker, and everything.
But only positive outcomes can keep you positive.
Well, I understand.
Right?
Like, you have to balance things out,
and
right?
that's the truth.
Yeah.
Like, we live in this day and age now where people just want to be lied too much because of their feelings, right? So you can be fat, you can be broke, and people will tell you, oh, it's okay, and especially on the women's side, right? You're overweight, and women are like, oh, and people are like, oh, you're just, you're
body
positivity,
Come
right?
on, guys.
So
if it's so body positivity, why is it that women out there are so depressed right now? Most of them are depressed. Most of them are staying by themselves. Most of them are being cat women, dog women. Yes, you might get your education. You have your education. You have your finance there. But what else do you have? You're still single, alone. You go out on dates and stuff, and it still doesn't work out. Why is it that you make all this money and everything else, but you can't even hold down a man with a ring on your finger walking down the aisle? Because you know why? You need to wake up and work on yourself, women. And I'm just saying this because, you know what? I want you to have all that positive vibe. I want you to have all the great things in life. And the great things in life isn't dying alone. It isn't like, dying alone without kids, to have someone to, call or, check up on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No. Yeah. So to end this video, guys, like there is no stat out there that correlates, or I guess cause and effect, saying that sexless marriages end in divorce, right? It's really hard for them to determine that. But I'll tell you guys right now, a sexless marriage is not going to last.
No.
Because what it shows is that you guys have lost your values. You have lost your sense of purpose. You have lost your sense of the truth, right? That means, because if you didn't, like if you were still working on your values and making sure you guys were getting better positive results, you still would be sexually attracted to each other. And that's just the truth.
And the sad part is, you guys, especially if you're married with kids and you don't have that sexless drive, you don't care about each other, you guys are like doing things apart, what do you think that kind of image you're showing your kids? That it's okay to have this. And then that's going to continue their line and their line. It's okay that mom is, like letting herself go, non-energetic.
Dad's never around.
Yeah. What kind of message are you sending to your kids and their generation?
You're
and
never
their next
hugging
generation?
each other. You're not ever intimate with one another.
And that's not good.
Kids notice these
things.
things.
They can sense. Kids aren't idiots, okay?
Yeah.
Kids are not idiots. And you don't want to send that kind of message and that kind of vibe, negative vibe to your kids and their next generation, okay? Because that doesn't help you nor helps the person around you. Yeah. So
work on your guys' values, guys. Marriage is not the end. It's just the beginning of another journey, to creating more value for yourself and for your family, okay?
Yep.
All right, guys. Take care.
Peace out. Bye.